South Africa could be in line for a credit rating upgrade and an interest rate cut. That's after the medium-term budget policy statement and the announcement of a new 3% inflation target. The shift from the previous 3 to 6% range marks the biggest monetary policy reform in 25 years and signals stronger policy alignment between the Treasury and the Reserve Bank. The market has already reacted positively to the move, with the all-share gaining and the rand strengthening. Analysts say if this momentum continues, South Africa could see a ratings upgrade from S&P Global as soon as Friday and a rate cut at next week's Reserve Bank meeting. Brait has reported a rise in investment value driven by strong performances from Premier Foods and a recovery at Virgin Active. For the 6 months to end September, the investment group's net asset value per share ticked up 5%. Premier and Virgin Active together making up over 90% of Brait's portfolio. Premier posted a 13.6% jump in earnings and a 28% rise in headline profit, helped by strong milk sales and lower debt, allowing it to declare an interim dividend and start a share buyback. Meanwhile, Virgin Active also showed progress, with earnings up 45% as membership and revenue increased in both South Africa and the UK. Brait says its focus remains on unlocking value and returning capital to shareholders. Sanlam has continued to post steady gains through the third quarter. The group's net result from financial services rose 17% for the 9 months to September, with new business volumes up 11%. Sanlam says the performance was supported by stronger life and general insurance operations, favorable claims trends in South Africa, and robust fee income across its investment business. General insurance earnings were a standout, rising more than 30%. Cell C is set to make its long-awaited return to the JSE later this month, marking the culmination of a 3-year turnaround. Parent company Blue Label Telecoms plans to raise up to 6.5 billion rand through a private placement ahead of Cell C's listing on the 27th of November. As part of the listing, Cell C will also introduce a broad-based empowerment structure, giving at least 30% ownership to historically disadvantaged investors through Sisonke Group partners, reinforcing its long-term transformation commitments. Blue Label says the listing will unlock shareholder value and cement Cell C's position as a lean, competitive force in South Africa's telecoms market. Curro says it's received the green light from Botswana's Competition and Consumer Authority for the proposed takeover by the Yanni Mouton Foundation. The transaction, first announced in October, will see the foundation acquire all of Curro's shares through a scheme of arrangement. The company will then be delisted from the JSE. Curro says the deal still requires approval from the South African competition authorities. This is the final regulatory hurdle before completion. And in international developments, Burberry, the iconic British luxury brand, has made a comeback, reporting a 2% rise in comparable store sales in the second quarter, marking its first growth in 2 years. Now, this turnaround is attributed to CEO Joshua Schulman's strategic measures, which are starting to pay off. Here's more detail in this package report.
Burberry returned to growth in the second quarter. The British luxury brand reported a 2% rise in comparable store sales. The number beat analyst forecasts and stopped 7 quarters of decline. It was also the company's first quarterly growth in 2 years and a sign its turnaround measures are paying off. China, a country where consumers have cut back spending in recent years, was also a bright spot. Burberry said comparable sales in the country rose 3% and returned to growth for the first time in more than a year. Adjusted operating profit for the 6 months ended late September hit $25.5 million, above market expectations and well ahead of last year's losses. The company's new strategy was driven by CEO Joshua Schulman as it focuses on outerwear and scarves. He wants to restore the brand's core identity after moving away from familiar codes. Investors liked what they heard Wednesday and shares jumped in early trade. Burberry stock is up more than 30% since the start of the year.